Ascension is beginning now. Here are the signs and why it's important to awaken. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, transformational life coach, channel, and author. In this video, I'm going to explain what Ascension is, how it works, and share with you 6 signs that we are already entering the 4th dimension. And I'm also going to share with you what you can do to ease your journey through these massive changes that are now underway. Now, before I start, I'm curious if any of you have really noticed or maybe even been overwhelmed by the incredible changes happening on our planet. So if you've noticed that, just type yes in the comments. So one of the things that I want to do is kind of demystify this whole idea of ascension so that you can actually make it in your own life a practical reality that advances your spiritual awakening and your evolution. In other words, I want to give you information to help you start to awaken, and which means to really become more conscious of what is actually happening on this earth and throughout all of our humanity. So let's talk about what Ascension is and how it works in the simplest possible terms. Ascension essentially is another word for evolution. It refers to the cosmic evolution of our planet, our solar system, galaxies, the entire universe, and certainly of we human beings. Now, a lot of people have a misperception that Ascension is a one-day event. It's just all at once this amazing thing happens and everything changes overnight or within minutes. But that's not really how Ascension works, because you see, Ascension is actually very much a part of the natural cycles of nature. Everything in nature evolves. So not only is nature is not just on our planet. Nature is the solar system, the galaxy, the stars, the cosmic universe. And if you observe how nature tends to operate, things tend to happen more gracefully, more gradually, sometimes actually imperceptibly. I'll give you a great example. A flower blooming. Have you ever noticed how you can look at a plant and you might see that flower and you won't see it actually open, but in a matter of hours that flower is completely open and you're like, I didn't see it happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful flower. Well, Ascension can be like that. It can be one of those things that we get so busy in our everyday lives, in our everyday routines, that we don't really notice the massive changes that are happening energetically, vibrationally. We see the physical signs around us, and I'm going to explain what those are in a moment. However, it's so easy to just go unconscious and not really be paying full attention. So nature doesn't tend to function like changing a channel on a TV or switching something on your phone, but we are kind of conditioned to think that way a little bit. So it's really important with Ascension to understand that it's a gradual process. Now, that does not mean that it's not accelerated, because we are experiencing massive acceleration in our Ascension energy, in our evolution right now. But I wanted to share with you the actual nature of Ascension so that you don't get complacent, so that you don't say to yourself, well, you know, I'll know when it happens because it'll be like this big, huge blast of something will be blasted into the cosmos in a whole different dimension just like that overnight. This is why I advocate for meditation so much and really being in tune with your inner self, because it's that inner being that you are that can tune in to that cosmic energy that is generating this massive ascension that we are in the process of right now. Now, you might wonder, where does ascension come from? What causes it? Well, one of the things you have to realize is that Our entire universe has its own geometry. Our galaxy has its own geometry. There are clocks in this solar system, in this galaxy, and all of these things interact with each other. And it's very complex. I will not pretend to be able to understand it all, but I can tell you from a sensing place, you can sense a speeding up, an acceleration of some kind. So there are cosmic influences that influence this vast universe that we live in and influence our human and planetary evolution. So those forces are very much at work right now. And when I start to talk to you a little bit more in a moment about the signs that we are entering the fourth dimension, hopefully that's going to help you to be able to tune in more readily to what is actually underway in all of our lives at this very moment. So one of the first signs that we are entering the fourth dimension, and let me just say for a moment, I think it's fairly common knowledge that we currently live in the third dimension, a three-dimensional reality. So an elevation of our consciousness into the fourth dimension is what is underway right now at this very moment. And you might have seen some of these signs yourself. Let's start with the topic of dreams. Now, you might be noticing some changes beginning to occur in your dreams. You might be getting signs or signals. Now, I think there are several different kinds of dreams. There are what I refer to as just ordinary dreams where your brain is processing whatever it needs to process based on what you've been experiencing. Then there are what I also like to call messaging dreams. Those are dreams that carry a message through symbology. And you have to figure out what your symbols are. I'm not going to get into great detail about dreams, but if you're intuitive, if you work on developing your intuition, and you can see a video I have about how to do that, you will be able to interpret your own dream symbology and perhaps begin to find messages that are coming to you from your higher self through your dreams designed to advance your evolution and advance your ability to ascend as we move into a new dimension of reality. Now, the third kind of dream is actually not really a dream. It's where you are actually literally going to other dimensions. You are visiting other dimensions, and these dreams can be very, very powerful. Oftentimes we don't remember them, but when you do, you know for a fact that that's what's happened. And one of the ways you know is that the experience of that dream is so visceral, it's so real. Sometimes it can even seem more real than the physical dimension that we live in right now. So start to pay attention to your dreams. Notice if you're experiencing changes in your dream world, because that is one of the places where you will begin to see signs that we are evolving into a new and higher dimension of consciousness. Now, the next sign that we are entering into the fourth dimension or beginning to move into that fourth dimensional consciousness is very pronounced on a physical level, and I'm certain that you have seen this for yourself. And that has to do with the massive polarization that we see happening on our planet among human beings. It's almost like there's a split happening, and it's so polarized, it's so divided. And a lot of times we think, oh my God, that's so awful, that's so terrible, we have to fix this. But you know, it could also be a sign that vibrationally, there's almost like a sorting out happening. So it's really important to pay close attention to your vibration and have your vibration as high as possible. So for example, when I talk about polarized energy, I'm not talking about like political polarization necessarily, because we see a lot of that, right? I'm talking more about negative versus positive. So for example, you might see people that are very, very negative about a lot of things in life, just everything's negative. And then you might see other people that are saying, gee, you know, life is great. And there's a whole spectrum in between. But it seems that it's becoming more and more polarized. So that polarization is a sign that something something is really up, something is changing. And another thing that might be a sign of is that people are really clinging very tightly to something because they feel that change inside and they want to hold on to something that just makes them feel more secure, even if it's negative or whatever it is. So the polarization is another sign that there are massive changes underway that we are not seeing necessarily on the surface. Now, a third sign that we are entering into a higher dimension has to do with what I would refer to as the breakdown of our three-dimensional reality. And you can probably see that, how systems are breaking down, old belief systems are falling apart, everything is changing, and it almost looks like things are just breaking down everywhere. You will also see that people become increasingly confused. You see more and more shocking events unfolding. A lot of times you'll notice that people are just seeming more unhinged and unable to cope with just what is going on in the world in general. So this old three-dimensional system of reality that we've become so familiar with, so complacent within, it's all breaking down. Things are being revealed, things are being seen that were never seen before. It can be quite dramatic, but this really is a breakdown of our three-dimensional experience. Another sign that you might have noticed is that time is speeding up. Have you noticed how maybe your sense of time is changing dramatically? Time is not really a static thing as we may have thought. Even though our clocks make it look like it's static, time is flexible. Time in the quantum universe is not what we think it is in terms of our everyday routine. So our experience of time is really speeding up. So pay attention to that, because you might feel like, my goodness, the day goes by so fast. I feel like I just got up and it's already time to go to bed. Where did the day go? Or where did the week go, or the month, or the year? So how do you deal with that? The best thing to do is to become more and more present in the moment so that you are flowing with those accelerated time changes, the acceleration, literal acceleration of time itself. And here's another sign that we are moving into a higher dimension. You might notice that it's becoming increasingly difficult to make sense of what is going on. We've had our own reference points for a very long time in this world. We have certain reference points that we always felt that we could count on as our basis for understanding the reality in the world around us. But you might notice that all of those reference points are beginning to collapse. It's really becoming very difficult to interpret the meaning of what we see happening around us. And that's why you see so much reactionary behavior in people, because people just are having a very difficult time processing these changes and this appearance of a collapse of this three-dimensional world that we've been living in for so very long. And finally, another sign is that there are cosmic and galactic forces that are influencing profound changes on our physical planet and within our solar system. Certainly you see it in climate change. There's changes in the Earth's magnetic field. There are just a lot of things happening that are accelerating. In other words, this entire process is being activated. So I want to encourage you to start to tune into this from a different place within yourself. And before I continue, leave me a quick comment and let me know if you have noticed for yourself any of the things that I just mentioned. I'd just be curious to know if any of you have seen any of these things for yourself. So now I want to talk to you about what you can do to ease your passage, to ease your journey through these powerful changes that this planet and all of humanity is going through at this current time, and how to flow with these energies in a very positive way. So the first thing you want to do is to make a conscious decision that you wish to ascend. The reason I suggest this is because once you make that decision, it completely changes how you reference everything that you see happening in the world. It changes how you reference your entire life, because now you have a new direction that is going to take you in a beautiful direction where you will not be thrown off or harmed by all of this craziness that we see going on in the world right now. So if you feel inclined, and this is a very personal thing, it's a deep thing between you and your inner self. It's not something you can do just, you can't fake this basically. Just ask yourself, do I wish to ascend? Do I wish to evolve to a higher level of consciousness? And if you do, then make a conscious decision between you and yourself that yes, it is my intention to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. It is my intention to ascend into that fourth dimensional reality. And it's not going to stop at the fourth dimension, because we just keep right on going. That's how evolution works. So the next thing you want to do is very, very important. Attend to your vibration, your entire physical body, your mind, your emotion, and I can't emphasize this enough, to really focus on anything and everything you can do to raise your vibration and keep it high with positive energy, optimism, light, love, all of the things that represent those higher dimensions of consciousness. Because what that does is that puts you in alignment with that ascension energy. That puts you in alignment with the beautiful journey of evolution that is taking all of us who wish to go to a much higher level of experience. Now, another thing you want to do that's super important is to start to focus on transmuting old patterns, beliefs, traumas, any negative energy that you are holding in your body, because all of that energy is very dense. That old stuff, whatever bad things you have memories of or regrets that you have, what this ascension energy is going to do is it's going to start to bring those emotions up into your consciousness. So here's what you want to do when that happens. You want to just practice being with that feeling, being with those emotions, and the light of your presence, your acceptance of self, your self-love, the energy of that will transmute that dense energy. And this is so important, because that dense energy is weighing you down. And you don't want to be weighed down in that way if you are in an ascension process. Just decide, it's a really simple decision. When you feel those negative experiences welling up inside of you, or those negative emotions, just pause and say, you know what? I'm just going to be with this. I'm just going to accept this within myself and feel it as it is. Allow the light and love of my high vibrational true self to transmute that energy. And all of this will contribute to raising your vibration, freeing up your energy flow, and will certainly make you feel way better than you've ever felt, maybe in your whole life. And my final suggestion for you to ease your journey with this ascension energy is to make a shift from viewing yourself as a victim of circumstances to being a creator of your life and your experience. And one of the ways you can do this really ties into what I just was talking about a moment ago, with all of that stuff and those patterns and all that stuff that comes up emotionally. See if you can just stop telling yourself all of the stories and the reasons why and the excuses and all that stuff that you tell yourself that actually keeps all of those things locked in place and keeps you feeling like a victim. So wherever you feel like a victim, make a decision. Say, I'm going to shift to being a creator in my life rather than a victim of circumstances. Now, those suggestions that I just gave you are simple, but they're also challenging, and they're very, very empowering, extremely empowering. And the good thing is that this ascension energy that's in play right now is going to support you in doing those things. So you could see your life advance very quickly in a very positive direction if you choose to align with this energy and make a conscious decision that you want to ascend. If you want to make that decision right now, type in the comments below, ascend, as your statement that you are ready to ascend to a higher level of consciousness and a higher, more beautiful vibration of experience. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. I deeply appreciate it. Hit the bell, the notification bell, so that you will get notified each time I post a new video, which at the current time is going to be at least once a week. And share this video out with any of your friends or anybody who you think would benefit. And with that, I'm wishing you a beautiful day, sending you love, light, and tons of positive energy. Have a wonderful experience. Namaste.